Hello, and welcome to the Forex Market Focus Report for Monday, September 9, 2013. It was a very busy Australasian and European session today. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that happened earlier today and talk about some of the cross rates that we're watching. The big news overnight in Japan was Japanese GDP. It came in lighter than expected at plus 0.9%. This had a negative impact on the Japanese yen today. We had a lot of Chinese data released overnight, including CPI numbers that came in right around expectations, showing consumer price inflation in China is running at 2.6%. We also had some Australian home loans data showing that home loans moved lower. We also have some investment lending data and some ANZ job advertisements data. Japanese confidence data moved lower to 43.0 from 43.6. We also had some data out in Switzerland earlier today. The unemployment rate held steady at 3%. And also, retail sales moved lower, but were positive at plus 0.8%. Later today, during the North American session, we have some minor data, including Canadian building permits numbers. Also, in the Eurozone today, we saw Centix investor confidence move dramatically higher to 6.5. Finally, some other Japanese data. The Economy Watch Years survey moved lower in both the current and outlook. Let's go ahead and take a look at some specific trading. Here on our MT4, we can take a look and see that gold against the US dollar is lighter today, trading right around the 1387 level. It's much the same story with silver against the dollar. It's trading right around 23.70 at the moment. Moving over to the energy complex, we see Brent crude oil futures are trading right around 113.87. If you remember, on Friday we saw a dramatic move higher later in the day after U.S. jobs data were released. And of course, West Texas Intermediate is also later on the day, trading right around the 109.31 level. The gold, silver, and oil complexes, the metals complexes, of course, will be taking their cues from Syrian action. Today, U.S. legislators return to Congress. The House is expected to possibly vote on authorization that President Obama is seeking to commence with military activity in Syria. Let's go ahead and take a look at some Forex activity today. Here on our daily Euro activity index, we can see the Euro is barely above the blue horizontal even line, which indicates the Euro is appreciating moderately today. The US dollar is underwater across the board in aggregate across a lot of different currency pairs. Japanese yen is probably our weakest currency today, moving lower across the board. British pound, as we can see here, has gained strength from its close on Friday and is performing nicely. We see the Swiss franc right around the blue zero level. Of course, we saw the Swiss numbers earlier today. The Australian dollar is positive in total today, but has not really been gaining much ground. Of course, we saw in Australia over the weekend, Tony Abbott won the election and his centre-right coalition displaced Prime Minister Rudd and former Prime Minister Gillard. Abbott has indicated that he will likely move ahead with an abolition of the mining tax, and he is expected to project a pro-business growth environment in his new government. We saw some gaps higher on some of these dollar block cross rates today, with some of the gaps higher as much as 100 pips or more. This is the Canadian dollar daily activity index. We see that it is positive and has been positive here for a few days, as indicated by its placement above the position above the blue horizontal zero line. So the Canadian dollar is an earlier winner. And finally, we see the New Zealand dollar is down against many different currencies today, as indicated by its position below the blue horizontal line. Let's go ahead and take a look at some specific cross rates that we are watching. This is a daily chart of the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. We can see this yellow downtrend line coming in right around and right between the high point of Friday's activity and today's low. This blue horizontal support line here is noteworthy because today's intraday low is right around this blue horizontal support line. On the Canadian dollar cross rate, this comes in right around 95.59. We have put a blue up arrow indicating what has happened here as a daily low, and we would target some upside levels if there is further appreciation. Those levels would include come in right around the 96.37 or the 96.41 level, as indicated by these two horizontal resistance lines here. So it's interesting that this downtrend is exactly between the high point and the low point of today's intraday session. Here we have a chart of the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. This is a daily chart. And if we go ahead and move this chart around a little bit, it looks kind of busy. That's because we have two different sets of retracement lines drawn. We can see a downtrend line coming in here, this yellow downtrend trend line here, and we can see that today's trading activity actually moved above that. We can see that, interestingly, this blue horizontal line comes in at 1.9468. And today's intraday low was about 15 pips above that area. And then we can see a resistance line coming in here right at 196.12. And we can see that the rate moved above this level and then came off. So we see a very good technical trade here today in the British pound against the New Zealand dollar cross rate. Moving on to our next cross rate, we have the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. We can take a look and we see that today's intraday high corresponds to the downtrend line coming in dating back here to July of this year. We can see that the cross rate moved lower and did not quite test this 89.87 support line here. We've drawn a blue up arrow to indicate the trading activity there. On the upside here, we might anticipate a test of the 90.50 area, and above that we would look for a move to the 91.29 area up here on the Canadian dollar Swiss franc cross rate. Here we have the Australian dollar against the US dollar. We included this major currency pair today to show you that the intraday low of the Australian dollar US dollar chart coincided exactly with the downtrend line as indicated by this yellow trend line here. A further move higher we would expect would come in right around test the 92.56 area on the Aussie dollar. And finally, we want to go ahead and take a look at another cross rate here. This is the euro against the British pound. We see some trend lines here, but the market activity is far below them. What's interesting to us here is that the today's trading activity, as indicated by this blue up arrow here, came in right around a 38.2% retracement level. This red horizontal line here corresponds to 84.09. So we will look to see if the cross rate can take any direction from there. We have actually drawn some Fibonacci extension lines here, and if there is continued weakness, as we have seen in these two different waves, if there is continued weakness in this cross rate, we would anticipate a test of the 83.70 area, followed by the 82.84 area, and finally the 82.46 area down here. Further weakness we could see as low as a break as low as the 81.59 area. We appreciate your viewership today. Thank you for watching our video.